are platforms that don't care about the public interest. They don't care about you or your family. They don't care about the safety of our democracy or society. What they care about is being able to put ads on content, regardless of whether or not it is dangerous or errant nonsense.
When we talk about conspiracy theory communities, what exactly do we mean by that? Because there'll be people listening to this who don't know and have never experienced anything like this before.
Well, there are so many flavors of conspiracy theories out there, and the truth is that, a substantial proportion of the population believe one or another, whether it's about the moon landings or it's about JFK's assassination. But when we're coming to the modern age, what we're talking about primarily, the most famous, the most notorious, the most potentially dangerous conspiracy theory out there is, of course, something that folks may have heard of but don't know quite what it is. It's called QAnon. And it's a conspiracy theory, one of those big overarching conspiracy theories that the entire world's elites are in cahoots with each other, running an enormous pedophile ring, and that they drink the blood of young children. Now, that might sound bananas, but what is bananas for someone like me who studies the spread of conspiracy theories and the scale of these communities is that a substantial number of people believe them, double digits in terms of the percentage of the population in the United States where I live. But also, we've got other conspiracy theories out there as well. For example, that the vaccine was invented by elites in order to force people to do something. They say to put a microchip in them. They say to wear masks because apparently if you had ultimate power, your main aim would be to make people wear masks for a year. I'm going to Pittsburgh to give a speech next week for a conference called Eradicate Hate. Now, Eradicate Hate is set up by the survivors of, it's the families of the victims and the survivors of the Tree of Life synagogue massacre in Philadelphia, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And those people were killed by someone who believed that Jewish people were trying to import non-white people to destroy the white race because apparently Jews want to control the world, and that white people are the only race that are able to destroy the Jewish people because of World War II and the German Nazi regime, and so they're now encouraging immigration, and they believe that this is all a plot by Jewish people. Now, that's taken lives there. It's taken lives in Christchurch, New Zealand. That's what the lunatic who massacred Muslims in Christchurch believe, the lunatic who massacred Jews in the Tree of Life synagogue. But also, we heard variations of that conspiracy theory in our own country 7 years ago during the referendum, people saying the EU was trying to import Muslims to destroy the white race as well.
Yeah.
So these conspiracy theories have a price that's paid in lives.
Does it make it worse to try and counter them, though? Because what you seem to hear, and we're talking about this in the context of a story that's been in the headlines, of course, for the last couple of weeks here in the UK about Russell Brand, and he denies all of the allegations against him. But, what we're starting to see is that the communities around him will reinforce this idea that people were always going to come for him, that the mainstream media were going to try and bring him down because, he's getting too close to the truth. Does it make it worse when you try to take on some of these conspiracy theories because it allows them to fuel the argument that they're already making?
Well, that's a very depressing thought, isn't it? The idea that facts and reality should be careful about trying to take on lies and nonsense, because in fact that's how we progress as a society, is by evidence, by science, by embracing the truth, facts, things that we can objectively demonstrate to be true. And I think what's so worrying about what's happening right now, of course, is that we're seeing the mass distribution, the production and distribution of vast amounts of conspiracist nonsense that are then distributed through platforms, primarily digital platforms, for example, through Twitter, or as it's now known, X, or actually things that you might be much more familiar with at home, like YouTube and Rumble. And what's key about these platforms are that these platforms actually prioritize disinformation, conspiracy theories, hate. Why? Because it actually drives eyeballs. Not eyeballs which are people going, I necessarily agree. In fact, as Andrew Tate, another notorious individual who made a lot of money by broadcasting on digital platforms, he used to say, you've got to make sure that lots and lots of your followers think that you're awful. Because actually, it's the engagement, it's the fact that people sort of hate watch them, sit there going, God, that person's an idiot, I can't stand that person, then tweet about it and then talk about it, engage with it. It keeps them on the platform.
Yeah.
And these are platforms that don't care about the public interest. They don't care about you or your family. They don't care about the safety of our democracy or society. What they care about is being able to put ads on content, regardless of whether or not it is dangerous or errant nonsense.
So is the government in the UK doing enough? I mean, we know that the online safety bill has finally made it through the House of Commons, but there's lots of people who say that that won't be able to stop what's going on here. Is politics doing enough?
Well, the online safety bill has major deficiencies. And one of the real problems about all of this, of course, is that it's about money. It's about advertising. It's about where adverts appear. And it's about the fact that the modern advertising technology infrastructure actually allows brands that you or I might, the family household brands, beloved brands, Disney, sort of the biggest companies in the world, their ads end up inadvertently, because of the opacity, because of the lack of clarity and transparency in the digital advertising market, they end up funding this sort of nonsense, appearing on these videos.
Yeah. So if the online safety bill, forgive me because we don't have much time, if the online safety bill isn't the answer, what is?
Well, what we need is actually more transparency on the advertising market. And we've said this repeatedly to His Majesty's government over the past, actually, for me, 6 years. And in the last 2 years of the passage of this bill, I was the first witness to give evidence 2 years ago in September 2021 on the online safety bill. And I said that there's a real deficiency here. One of them is transparency of advertising. And the second is any mechanisms for you to make sure that the money that currently is being accrued by these companies through the broadcasting of dangerous nonsense needs to be clawed back.